Hi, it's Darren DeNeve. I am going to make some of these videos for you for math team practice. And so I thought what we would do is solve one problem each of Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Calculus each day that we make this little video. Just give you a way to review a little bit and practice. And so here we go. I thought maybe we would start just sort of with a mathematical tidbit. Today's date just happens to be August 14th of 2024 that I'm making this video. And if you notice, if I alternately subtract and add the digits of 8142024, I get 11. And this is just a mathematical tidbit for you, but if you do this process and you get 11 or some sort of multiple of 11, it means that the number itself is divisible by 11. See? So no fraction there. It's also true that if the number was divisible, if this sum that we found by adding and subtracting was some sort of multiple of 11, whether it's 0, 11, 22, or negative 11, etc., it would work as well. By the way, since we can tell by looking at it that the number is even, we know that it's divisible by 2. Since 4 goes into 24, it must be divisible by 4. Since 8 goes into 2,000 and 8 goes into 1,000 really anyway, 8 goes into 24,024, and it's also divisible by 8. So since it was divisible by 8 and 11, it's also true it's divisible by 88. Okay, how about that? And in fact, let's see, 9 plus 2 plus 5 plus 2 plus 3, that's 21. And so that's divisible by 3. We could have gone even further here. It's divisible by 3. We could probably go on and on further if we wanted to, but I think you get the mathematical tidbit here. All right, so let's go ahead and start what we intended to start. And so we're just going to do question 1 on the 2024 ICTM test. And question 1 are generally not as hard as some of the other ones, but we'll just go ahead and do it anyway. And so on question 1, it says let A equal 1.5 and C equal -3 and K equals 8, and determine the product 2AC and ACK. And so 2AC would be 2 times 1.5 times -3, and ACK would be 1.5 times -3 and 8. It's true that the ICTM gives you a calculator for this thing, but you could do this without a calculator, especially if you change those 1.5s to 3/2, and we're going to multiply these together since they wanted the product. And so we're here, and so you can see these 2's would kind of go away here. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and so the question really becomes, it's 3 to the 4th power times 4, and so that's 81 times 4, and 80 times 4 is 320, and so 81 times 4 must be 324. All right, let's see what the geometry question has to do. So the first question of geometry in the 2024 test was that 4 points A, B, C, and D were on a number line with their coordinates shown, and determine how much greater 50% of the distance from C to D is than 20% of the distance from A to B. So 50% from C to D, well, from C to D is 16, so that's 50% of 16, right? 30 minus 14 is 16. I guess I should have said this on the previous 2 questions, but you should pause the video and try to solve it yourself and then watch to see whether you got the same answer I did. And so 50% of 16 is 8, and then 20% from A to B, well, that's 20% from 0 to 10. Well, 20% from 0 to 10 is 2, and so it wants the difference or the distance from A to B. And so 8 minus 2 is 6. So our answer there is 6. So let's move on. The algebra 2 question. For the first question, again, the first question sometimes is pretty easy. And this is a perfect example. I don't know that it gets a lot easier than this, honestly. But the first question says determine the value of log 5. Remember, if it has log without a base written underneath it, then it means that it's in base 10. And so if you just get out your calculator here and type in log 5, you're going to get 0.699 to the nearest thousandth to follow their directions here. So the answer is 0.699. Just in case you're sitting there thinking, I don't know what a logarithm is, I'm a freshman. What it means here is that 10 to this power, and again, we approximated here. So 10 to this power is about 5, okay? And so if you look on my calculator, if I took 10 to the power of the answer that it just gave me, it'll say 5. And so that's really what we're finding here. Logarithms and exponents are inverse functions, much in the same way, or inverse operations, much in the same way that addition and subtraction or multiplication and division are. All right, so that was algebra 2. And we'll try the pre-calc one. Okay, and so the pre-calc one says that the angle of theta is 20 degrees. It can be expressed equivalently as W equals K pi. Determine the value of K. Again, this is question 1. It's not intended to be crazy hard here. But you have to know to get this right is that pi radians is the same as 180 degrees. And so we measure angles from the positive x-axis. And so this is 180 degrees, or pi radians. I suppose if you're wondering why that is the case, it kind of just goes with the idea that in a circle of radius 1, the circumference is 2 pi. And so 2 pi, or all the way around, is 360 degrees. And so since pi radians is 180 degrees, we're asked to find what 20 degrees is. And so we could multiply 20 degrees by pi over 180. That's a conversion factor. The top and the bottom are the same. And so we end up here with 1/9 times pi. And the question says determine the value of K, and we want it as K times pi. And so the answer here to give to the math team folks would be 1/9. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll try to make some, and it's just a way for us to practice a little bit. Again, maybe a question a day could be good for us. All right, thanks for listening. See you next time.